Oh, come with me and you'll see land of your pure imagination. I can't sing. I apologize for that. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a classic movie that came out in 1971 based off the Roald Dahl book, and it stars Gene Wilder. Basically what this movie is about is that there's this giant mysterious factory. They know that there's a guy called Willy Wonka there that used to sell chocolate and stuff, but he hasn't come out of the factory. But then it starts selling out Wonka bars, and there's promised to be 5 different golden tickets that are in certain Wonka bars around the world. So basically a bunch of people are trying to find these Wonka bars, and Charlie, a lucky young poor boy, after only getting a few Wonka bars, finds this thing. He goes to this factory that's promised to have such good things there and meets Willy Wonka, and that whole adventure into the chocolate factory occurs. So guys, you may be wondering why I'm reviewing Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This may seem kind of random, actually. It's kind of random, yeah it is. I mean, I didn't even plan on doing this, but the reasons I did this is because Gene Wilder did pass away yesterday. I was really upset by that. It was like, no, another legend gone in 2016. Why? And I really did want to make a tribute to him. I wanted to watch this movie again because he's so good in this film. Another reason is that school for me is starting tomorrow, and I decided to do one more video before school. I didn't know what it was going to be. I was brainstorming in my head what to do, and I thought this would be perfect because I definitely do want to do more classic movie reviews, like classic movies that are like incredible masterpieces, and this is no exception. This movie is a classic. I definitely do want to review more movies that are among my favorite movies of all time, and this is one of those. This is an opportunity for me to do that. So I thought I'd review this movie before school starts. And I am going to have spoilers in this review because most people have seen this movie, and if you haven't, what are you doing? Watch it now, immediately. What? Why have you never watched this movie before? So guys, basically my history with Willy Wonka, you're gonna be a little bit disgusted by this, but I actually was brought to the Tim Burton film first. I saw that movie first, I saw the before this one, and yeah, I didn't really grow up with the Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory original movie like a lot of other kids did. I used to watch the Tim Burton movie a lot, which is kind of sad. But it wasn't until I was older and my brain started developing that I realized that the older movie is by far superior than the newer one. The newer movie actually isn't that good, despite liking it as a kid. It wasn't until I was older and more mature that I really did see something special in this original Willy Wonka film, and it became one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm so happy to actually review this movie because it's so good. It's a classic. Just the whole thing just fills you with joy. The entire movie has a sense of joy and happiness, and it's just a world that you can escape to and have so much fun whenever you watch this movie. It's just so masterful. Everything about this movie. It's a classic for a reason. This is one of the best musical/family films ever made. Like, the music in this film is phenomenal. Everyone remembers it. Everyone knows the songs from this movie. Like, literally every song is memorable. It's crazy. All the songs are so good, because usually when there's a musical or a musical film, I'll just be like, yeah, those 2 songs were good. I'll remember maybe 1 or 2 songs from the movie, but Willy Wonka, I remember every single song in this film. From the Candyman song, from Cheer Up Charlie, from I've Got a Golden Ticket, to Pure Imagination. From the Oompa Loompa song too! That's also a classic. It's one of the best musical films ever made because the songs are so good in this film. Pure Imagination is one of the best original songs in a film. Gene Wilder is so good at singing that Pure Imagination song. Like, when I saw that scene in this movie, I admittedly did tear up. Seth MacFarlane and Barbra Streisand did a duet recently for this song, and that's really good. Seth MacFarlane is one of my favorite singers of all time. He's sung some of the best, most beautiful music I've ever heard in my life. And him and Barbra Streisand did a really good job with that. But Gene Wilder is even better. I couldn't believe it. He's so good at singing this song. It's one of the best songs probably ever.
If you want to view paradise, Simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world. There's nothing to it.
The kid actor who plays Charlie is fantastic in this movie. He's so good. He's way better than that really bland Jesus kid in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton movie. He's way better. Because the kid in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie was so bland, he was so perfect and not like an actual kid and so just Jesus-y. He's basically a Jesus kid. But the kid in this movie is actually relatable because he does things that a kid would actually do. He acts like a child. He acts like a kid would be. He makes mistakes. He's curious. He's an actual living human being. And when he's poor and stuff and he's struggling to get the golden ticket, you legitimately feel bad for this kid because you relate to him because he's such a relatable, great kid character. And the performance for him is so good. I mean, like the scene where the grandparents are talking about how all the golden tickets are gone. Well, they think all the golden tickets are gone when the guy made the phony ticket. They think all the golden tickets are gone, and you can see Charlie crying in his bed overhearing the conversation. Like, I nearly cried in that scene because I felt so bad for this kid. You just really want to see this kid get something better in his life because his whole life is just depressing. And also, the reason I made this video is basically because of Gene Wilder. And in this movie, he's so good.
He's so good.
His performance as Willy Wonka may be one of my favorite performances of all time. This guy is so good in this role. He's funny, he's energetic, he's charismatic. Like in the whole movie, there's this unpredictability about his performance. You never know where the guy is gonna go because he seems insane, but the whole time he actually isn't insane. He's just testing the kids. It's absolute brilliance, Gene Wilder in this movie. There are several moments in this movie that just make you crack up because he's so funny, he's so good at being comedic.
Stop, don't come back.
And the whole time, you don't know where this character's gonna go. You want to know about this character's past. He's basically like the Joker, except not. He's not like insane and psychopathic, but he's very mysterious. You don't know anything about his past, and you think he's insane. He acts insane, and he acts like a complete loon. And you just want to know more about this character, but they don't give you that because he's so mysterious. The setup to the factory stuff is so good in this film. Like, they make it so mysterious, they make it so suspenseful. Like, in the first 30 minutes, it's done so well. It's just as riveting as the stuff inside the factory because just the setup to this factory is so mysterious and so great, and you just want to see this factory. You want to see Willy Wonka, and just the setup is so good because you don't see inside the factory, you don't see Willy Wonka, you don't see any of this. And another scene I need to mention in this movie is the scene where Gene Wilder first shows up. He's limping, he looks like a cripple. It's the first time they actually show Willy Wonka, and that's such a good scene. What I love about this movie is, like, I watched a lot of behind the scenes videos about this movie before, and I've heard that Gene Wilder wouldn't have done the entire Willy Wonka role if they didn't let him put that scene in. The kids didn't even know that he was gonna do that, so when he limped out, all the kids' reactions that they show on camera, those are genuine because they actually thought that Gene Wilder might have gotten injured or something and something was wrong with him. Another thing about this movie that I love is that it's way different from the book, but they do it well. You may know that Roald Dahl, when he saw this movie, absolutely hated it. It's basically like The Shining. Like, the movie is very different from the book, but they do it in a way that works. All the original stuff they pull off in this movie really do work. Sure, it's not true to the book, but they might have done stuff in this movie that's even better than in Roald Dahl's book. Like, for example, the yelling scene with Willy Wonka at the end, that wasn't in the book. Slugworth wasn't in the book. There's so many things that weren't in the book that are added in that kind of made this movie even better than the book. I mean, I read the book when I was little. It's really good. Roald Dahl is a great writer. But this movie did things that were even better than it. The changes that they made it superior, in my opinion at least. This movie's also massively creative. Like, there's so many things in this movie that are just like, how did people come up with that? Like the weird thing where there's like fruits on the wall and they lick it and it's the same flavor as the actual fruit. It's like, who came up with that? The sets also, incredible! I mean, this movie came out in 1971, and the sets and stuff they were able to pull off are insane. I can't believe the stuff they were able to achieve in this film. Like, all the sets and scenery, they all look so good. And also, the ending of this movie, I briefly mentioned it earlier, where Willy Wonka yells at Charlie and starts screaming at him. That also wasn't planned for the kid. Gene Wilder yelling at him, the kid didn't know that was gonna happen. And Gene Wilder, like, felt so bad for doing that to him afterwards. There's a lot of choices in this movie that are absolute genius, that use the kid's genuine reaction to things that they didn't know was planned, and make it better for their performances. Guys, in the end, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a masterpiece. This movie is one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. It's truly one of the best musical/family films ever. Everything in this movie works perfectly, even though it's different from the book. Everything about this movie is praiseworthy. It never lets up for a moment. It's one of the best films ever made, in my opinion. Guys, I'm gonna give Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory an A+. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Rest in peace, Gene Wilder. But yeah, school is starting tomorrow. I'm gonna have less videos, which is really upsetting. I really wish I could still do a lot of videos, but I'm still gonna try to get videos to you, even though I'm busy. I'm going into junior year now. It's gonna be nuts. And maybe, just maybe, I might be able to do a Tim Burton series before Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and review the Willy Wonka reboot that he did. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do that because that's going to be a little bit difficult. Even if I did do it, I'd have to limit it to maybe 3 Tim Burton films. I can't do too many, but I really would like to do that if I can. No promises, though. And if you like this video, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to comment your thoughts on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's a classic. Everyone should love it. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and bye now.
You can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, cover it in chocolate and a miracle or two. The Candyman can.
Stop, don't come back.